When I almost failed out of school, someone told me I mattered. When I had suicidal thoughts, someone told me I mattered. When I struggled to believe in myself, someone told me I mattered. I am who I am today because of everyone who made it their social responsibility to help me paint the world I wish to live in. I believe that every young person is an artist. An artist is anyone who has an imagination. See, you may be wondering or asking yourself, what does viewing a young person as an artist have to do with social responsibility? Well, let me tell you. My poem, Paintbrushes, is a call to action, which I will recite in a moment. More so, it is a challenge to every adult to make it their social responsibility to help a young person, to mentor a young person, and help them choose the right colors. Their colors. How did I get here? And where did it begin? As a young boy growing up in Atlantic City, sports occupied my time. I was subpar academically. I skated through high school only doing the bare minimum. College was an afterthought, if a thought at all. My confidence was low, but there was a teacher, my English teacher, Mr. Kearney, who would never allow me to just be average. No, see, when I had him in the 8th grade, his standards were high, and I struggled. And after I graduated, I prayed that I would never see him again. But when I walked into my 10th grade classroom, there he was. Damn. I thought, his standards were high, and I struggled. And after 10th grade, I prayed that I would never see him again. But lo and behold, when I walked into my 12th grade English class, there he was once more. I should have changed my language, y'all. But I'm happy that I didn't. Because Mr. Kearney continued to challenge me to be the best version of myself. His standards were high, and although I struggled, he made it his social responsibility to help me paint the world I wish to live in. As a young person, I can't honestly say that going to an opera was on my list of fun things to do, but Mr. Kearney thought otherwise. He took my best friend and I to an opera during our senior year, and I can't tell you much about the opera because I sat there wondering, how could this man use the last 5 years of his life to make it his social responsibility to help me stay on the right track? How could this man use the last 5 years of his life to make it his social responsibility to bring out the best version of me? I looked at him on our way home and said, Mr. Kearney, I don't know how I will ever be able to repay you. And he looked at me and said, when you have the opportunity to do for others what I have done for you, just do it. Silence took over the car. I sat there, not truly understanding the words that he uttered, but never forgetting the seed was planted, a social responsibility to never forget who I was, where I am from, and to remember the people who have invested in my life's journey and future outcome, a social responsibility to remember that there is a young person who is maneuvering throughout their life's journey, trying to be where you are, if not further, a commitment to help another young person paint the world they wish to live in. And so I did, as my grandmother would have wanted me to. A life of service. I answered Mr. Kearney's call to action and made it my social responsibility to do for others what he had done for me. For example, in college, I mentored first-generational college students. In grad school, I mentored first-year generational college students. That opportunity gave me the opportunity to work in the beautiful city of Philadelphia with an organization called City Year, where I mentored and I tutored and I supported 33 eighth graders from the beginning of the school year into the last day of school, not as the teacher, but playing the role as one. And it was in this moment where I realized that this was the call to action that Mr. Kearney had asked of me. This was my social responsibility, yes. I remember the first day of school. I saw a young man who looked just like me sitting in the back of the class with his head down. I watched him for a couple days. And for the next couple of weeks, I realized that this young man was just like me. See, his confidence was low. Academically, he struggled. He had no plans past the 8th grade, and college wasn't an option, so he thought. I attached myself to this young man and decided that he would be the same me who would help bring out the best in him. It was my social responsibility, like Mr. Kearney had asked of. One day I asked him to meet me in the cafeteria to study for math. He walked over, he looked over my shoulder, he shook his head no, and he walked off. He walked off. I allowed him to walk off, and later, when the students took their math test, he was the one who struggled. When he turned in his math test, I reminded him of the opportunity he had during lunch to study, and the next thing he said, I was not prepared for. He said, Mr. Akeem, I am in the 8th grade and I have never received anything over a 50 in math, and he started to cry. He, the toughest of the toughest, I reminded him that he too is human, and there is nothing wrong for a young boy of color to cry, or there is nothing wrong for a young boy of color to express themselves emotionally. Young king, your past is your past. Do not let your masculinity affect how your heart feels, but if you are willing to work for it, then your future is yours to create. Now let's get to work. The following Monday, I asked him to meet me in the cafeteria to study for a math test. When I walked into the room that day, he was at the table, books open and ready to learn. We did this for 4 days, and on that Friday, when the students took their math test, he received a 60 out of 100. This may not be that big of a deal for some, but to me, it was everything, because I have noticed that in my 11 years of youth development and working with young people, it is highly important to acknowledge the small victories just as important as it is to acknowledge the big ones. He came to me, waving his hands, fluttering his body. See, Mr. Akeem, I told you. I looked at him and I asked him, are you serious? Young king, you have never received anything over a 50 in math, but today you received over a 60, and we only studied for 4 days. Just imagine if you studied every day. Just imagine if you studied before school during morning programs. Just imagine if you studied after school during after-school programs. Just imagine if your canvas was filled with confidence, young king. Just imagine. Now let's get to work. And over the remaining months, this young man met me in the cafeteria, and we studied and we studied. He received 75s, he received 80s, 95s, and 100s. He finished the school year averaging an 85 in math. And all I did was help him choose his colors. I reminded him, when no one else believes in you, you believe in you, young king. Now let's get to work. I have continued to answer this call to service over the last 10 years, making it my social responsibility to do for others like others have done for me. I started a youth-centered travel program that focuses on giving young people ages 13 to 18 the opportunity to participate in cultural exploration. By focusing on cultural exchange activities, one, they strengthen a sense of self. Two, they strengthen a cultural awareness. And three, they gain a stronger appreciation for cultural differences. What if this was our view into the future? The 7 generations where mentorship meets service, and everyone made it their social responsibility to help a young person who is not considered family and help them paint the world that they wishes to live in. Here is my challenge. To you and to every listener listening, when you have the opportunity to do for a young person what someone has done for you, just do it. I serve because someone told me I matter. If you don't serve, who will tell them? And now my poem, Paintbrushes. Thursday, March 14th, I sat in a classroom filled with scientists, artists, entrepreneurs, congressmen, and women. I sat in a classroom filled with 33 paintbrushes, ready to paint this world with ambitious colors, their canvas. Their canvas is as big as their thoughts, and I am simply here to help them choose the right colors. They will never be Picasso, but they can be better. And every day I strive to bring out the best artists in them, the best in them. They have yet to see what their paint can do. It's only a matter of time before their best will come, and I pity the fool who chooses to disagree. Our youth are intellectual time bombs waiting to explode. I said, our youth are intellectual time bombs waiting to explode. And I pray that I'm there when their confidence goes boom, kaboom, bam. And they start to break down every stereotype that has ever labeled them as felons, criminals, and convicts. And they start to break down every barrier that has ever gotten them killed, Trayvon, Tamir. And they start to break down every barrier that has ever gotten them beaten, Sandra. And they start to break down every barrier that has ever gotten them locked behind bars. My students will paint themselves into history, never forgetting their history. They will use pastel colors because it looks better in the sun, yeah. Brighter in the sun. Their lives will reflect the hard work of Martin Luther King. Their passion will bounce off walls and into their communities like Malcolm. Their determination will look a little more like Harriet. We can change this world one paint stroke at a time. I serve because Frederick Douglass once said, once you learn how to read, you will forever be free. That it's easier to build small children than it is to repair broken men. My students will learn not to bend. No, my students will learn not to bend. I serve because they have built more prisons. I serve because they are building more prisons, and I refuse to watch as it grows when I know that we can be a part of its downfall. And no, I'm not asking for no sympathy. I'm asking that we care more, because for some inside, a high is all that they care for. You'd be surprised by the number of artists you meet every day. I serve students who, like me, find it hard to believe in themselves. I serve students who find it hard to see themselves. I serve young people who find it hard just to be themselves. But we are blueprints for positivity. I'm a believer in the power of our youth. The bridge our children can believe is stable. I am the voice that reminds them how great they are, and you can be the voices that remind them how great they are. I am merely a paintbrush, ready to paint this world with ambitious colors. I am the journal they can write in, the shoulder they can lean on. I am just a mentor who cares. I serve with a purpose, for a purpose, to instill self-love and self-worth in our youth. So when you ask me why I serve, and I simply respond because I have to. I said, when you ask me why I serve, and I simply respond because I have to, please do not feel offended by my short answer. But sometimes it is hard to relay these words that mean so much to my identity. I identify with students whose parents have been addicted to drugs. I serve students whose parents have been deported or too busy to care. I serve because someone told me I matter. And that greatness is a mindset. I serve because someone told me I matter, and that greatness is a mindset. Thursday, March 14th, I sat in a classroom filled with scientists, artists, entrepreneurs, congressmen, and women. I sat in a classroom filled with 33 eighth graders, ready to paint this world with the most beautiful colors that they have ever known. They may never be Picasso, but they can be better. And their canvas is as big as their thoughts. I serve because someone told me I matter. If you don't serve, who will tell them? Peace.